The moment I opened the certified letter, my heart sank. HOA Karen, real name Marlene Brightwater, had fined me $8,000 for unauthorized hunting on my own damn property. I stood in my kitchen, gripping the paper, my hands shaking, fury rising like heat from asphalt. Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. I wasn't poaching. I'd legally shot a deer, on my side of the boundary line. My land. My tags. My rights. But Karen, the president of the Evergreen Hollow HOA, said my bullet crossed into community airspace. What the hell was community airspace? I stormed into the HOA office, demanding an explanation. Karen sat there smug in her turquoise blazer, sipping herbal tea, her voice syrupy and fake. Rules are rules, Mr. Hollis. You signed the bylaws when you moved in. I didn't sign squat. My late wife, Evelyn. She loved the community, the trees, the trails. I bought this home for her. Now I was paying the price alone, both emotionally and financially. $8,000 for hunting. $8,000 for a memory. I walked out of that office humiliated and boiling. The other neighbors looked at me like I was a criminal. I wasn't one. But I'd just been branded as one. And that's when I knew I wasn't going to pay the fine, I was going to settle the score. That night, I poured myself a glass of bourbon and pulled out the survey maps. I knew the area well. What Karen and the HOA forgot, or never knew, was that the land the community used for weekend hiking wasn't actually HOA owned. That 46-acre slice of pine and dirt trail? It was privately owned. Belonged to an old man named Doyle Hemsworth who moved to Arizona 3 years ago. I remembered him saying he was tired of the taxes and that he might sell. I found Doyle's number buried in my contacts. We weren't close, but I'd fixed his water pump once. Still thinking of selling that backlit, Doyle? I asked. He chuckled. Son, you're the first person who's remembered I exist in years. Make me an offer. I made one. It wasn't cheap, but it was sweet justice. The same HOA that fined me for hunting was about to find themselves locked out of their sacred Saturday trails. Karen's little hiking group? They were about to hit a dead end. By morning, the papers were signed. The land was mine. I drove up there and stapled brand new signs to every tree. Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. And then I installed cameras, real ones. No HOA nonsense. Saturday morning, just after 9 a.m., I sat on my front porch with a cup of coffee and binoculars. I didn't have to wait long. Karen showed up with her flock of fitness fanatics, sun visors, water bottles, and matching windbreakers. They marched up the trail like clockwork. But 50 feet in, they hit the first sign. Karen froze. Her hands went to her hips. I could see her squinting at the bold red letters. The group huddled around, confused. Then the shouting started. I watched as Karen pulled out her phone and made a call, probably to the sheriff or the HOA lawyer. But this time, they'd get nowhere. The deed was public. I owned it. They had no legal standing. Not even Karen's ego could twist this one. She stomped back down the trail, beat red and furious. Her power, her precious routine, had been disrupted. And by me, the man she thought she'd crushed under an $8,000 fine. I smiled into my coffee and whispered, "Game on." 2 days later, I received a formal letter from the HOA's attorney. They demanded I reopen access to the historical trails used by Evergreen Hollow residents. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my stew. Historical? That land wasn't theirs and never had been. I drafted a simple response with help from a real estate lawyer friend I once helped build a deck. Access denied. Land privately owned. Further intrusion will be prosecuted. I sent it certified, return receipt requested. Let them chew on that. Karen doubled down. She called a special HOA meeting and invited local press. Said I was a rogue neighbor, disrupting community health and endangering children's freedom to roam. The local station aired a 5-minute segment. I watched it with popcorn. But Karen didn't know I had receipts. photos, drone footage, even Doyle's statement that no one had the right to be there. So I uploaded everything online, under the title, The Truth About Evergreen Hollows Trails. The comments poured in. Karen showed up on my porch with lemonade and a forced smile. "Maverick," she said, "let's be adults." I nearly spit out my coffee. She proposed a shared use agreement, said the HOA would drop the fine if I reopened the trails on weekends. I listened. I nodded. Then I said, "No," she blinked. "This isn't about trails, Karen. You humiliated me. And now you want peace only because you've lost control." She stood there, blinking like a broken porch light, lemonade glass shaking in her hand. I shut the door. 5 minutes later, her car screeched down the road. And that's when she started going nuclear. She filed a complaint with the county about unauthorized fencing. Then one about improper wildlife control. She even accused me of hoarding deer meat. None of it stuck. I had permits, licenses, legal help. What she didn't realize was I'd grown up with people like her. Bullies and pearls. Fake smiles and sharp knives. But this time, I wasn't the one bleeding. A week later, I got a call that shook me harder than Karen's antics. My sister, Gracelyn, was moving back home. She needed a place. I hadn't seen her in 6 years, not since Dad's funeral, when she blamed me for not keeping the family land. Now she was divorced, broke, and needed help. I told her to come. I didn't have kids of my own. Just me, the dog, and memories that clung to the wallpaper like old smoke. Gracelyn arrived with 2 suitcases and a chip on her shoulder. She toured the land, the fences, the cameras. "What's with all the signs?" she asked. I told her everything. About Karen. The fine. The revenge. Her face lit up. "I hate bitches," she whispered. "Let's make her cry." That night, we opened a bottle of Dad's old rye and planned. Not just to defend the land, but to expand it. Because Gracelyn had an idea that would blow this war into a wildfire. Gracelyn used to work in events. She called it land use monetization. Within 2 weeks, she turned our 46 acres into an exclusive rustic retreat for paying guests. We named it Hollow Ridge Hideaway. Our first event? A weekend archery workshop. The moment Karen saw the signage, she almost combusted. "You can't run a business back here," she screamed. I handed her a brochure. "We're outside HOA jurisdiction and zoned for rural recreational use." She stormed off muttering about calling state reps. But it got worse, for her. One of her closest allies, old Mr. Bertram, booked a weekend. "It's peaceful," he said, "and the chili's good." Photos of guests roasting marshmallows and watching stars made it to the local paper. A new kind of escape. Karen couldn't stop it. She'd unleashed something that couldn't be put back. Her petty fine had become the seed of a whole new life for me, and her slow downfall. The final blow came not from me, but from the community she'd ruled for 8 years. Someone started a petition to remove Karen from her post. It spread like wildfire. Every fine, every rule, every abuse was listed. Even the wind chime story made it in. At the next HOA meeting, over 60 people showed up, double the usual. Karen tried to hold the room like she always had, but the tide had turned. People were tired of fear, tired of walking on eggshells. And they had seen what one man could do when pushed too far. I didn't say much, just stood at the back with Gracelyn. But when the vote was counted, Karen's mouth fell open. She'd lost. By a landslide. Her reign was over. Just like that. She walked out of that meeting without saying a word. No eye contact. No final jab. Just silence. And for once, she finally respected boundaries. 3 months later, Hollow Ridge Hideaway was fully booked through the fall. We added zip lines, cabins, even a little archery league for local kids. Gracelyn handled the business side. I took care of the land. We laughed more than we had in years. Karen? She moved. Quietly. Sold her house to a nice couple with twin boys who love camping. The HOA runs smoother now, with new leadership and fewer fines. People wave when they pass by. They smile. They remember. As for me, I still walk that old trail some mornings just to breathe it in. But it's mine now. Not just the land, but the peace, the freedom, the justice I carved with stubbornness and heart. And every time I pass the private property sign, I tip my hat and whisper, "Thanks for the fine, Karen." It changed everything.